My wedding day was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. The music, the flowers, the laughter of our guests, all of it was a dream I had planned for years. But as I stood at the altar, waiting for my groom, I felt the first tremor of unease. He was late. Too late. And then my best friend approached me with trembling hands, her eyes wide with something I couldn't name. "Your husband's missing," she whispered. "And your sister, she knows why." That was the moment my world cracked open. In the hours that followed, I discovered secrets buried deep in my family's past, lies so twisted they blurred the line between love and betrayal. I had to navigate a maze of hidden motives, stolen opportunities, and dangerous truths, while wearing the dress that was supposed to mark the start of my new life, but I wasn't prepared for how far the truth would push me, or how much I'd be forced to lose. Before I found my husband, or myself, again, I had always imagined my wedding morning would be a slow bloom of happiness. Instead, it was a storm of rushing makeup artists, hurried footsteps, and my own heartbeat pounding so loudly I could barely hear the chatter around me. From the window of the bridal suite, I watched the garden below. Rows of white chairs faced the altar, and beyond that, the ocean glimmered under the late afternoon sun. Everything looked perfect. Perfect, except for the empty space at the altar. "He's just running late," my sister, Claire, had said an hour ago. She had a way of making every sentence sound both soothing and vaguely irritated, like my worries were just another thing she had to clean up after. But an hour was too long. The ceremony should have started 15 minutes ago. The guests were whispering now, glancing at their watches, pretending not to notice the tension coiling in the air. I kept smoothing my dress, as if the silk could anchor me. That's when Emily, my best friend since high school, slipped into the room. Her face was pale, her lips pressed together like she was holding back something dangerous. She didn't bother with pleasantries. She stepped right up to me, leaned close, and whispered, "Your husband's missing. And your sister knows why." For a second, I thought I had misheard her. The words felt like they didn't belong in this moment, in this dress, on this day. "What?" My voice was sharper than I intended. Emily's eyes darted to the closed door, then back to me. "We need to talk. Now. Somewhere no one can hear us." I wanted to ask her 1,000 questions, to demand she take it back, but before I could, the door opened. Claire stood there, her smile just a little too tight. "Everyone's waiting," she said, and in that instant, I knew Emily was telling the truth, because Claire wouldn't meet my eyes. I followed Emily out of the bridal suite, careful not to let the hem of my gown trip me. The hallway felt too narrow, my breaths too shallow. I kept expecting someone to stop us, to ask where the bride was going, but no one did. Emily's heels clicked against the polished floor, sharp and urgent. I slipped into the catering storage room, the only place I knew would be empty before the reception. Emily shut the door and pressed her back against it like she was holding out the entire world. "He didn't just get cold feet," she said, her voice low but trembling. "He's gone. I saw him leave." My chest tightened. "You saw him? When?" "About 40 minutes ago. He got into a black SUV. He wasn't alone." I gripped the edge of a metal shelf, steadying myself. "And you're telling me my sister knows why?" Emily nodded, her eyes full of a guilt I didn't understand. Claire was already outside, waiting for him. She got in the car too. The words hit me harder than I expected. My sister and my fiancé in the same car, leaving my wedding? My mind scrambled for explanations, any scenario that didn't involve betrayal. "That makes no sense," I said, more to myself than to her. "They barely talk." Emily cut me off. "I'm sorry, but they do talk. More than you think. I've seen messages on Claire's phone." I stepped back, my heart pounding so loud I could barely hear her. "Messages about what?" Emily hesitated, and in that pause, I saw something else: fear. "Real fear, about meeting up," she finally said. "About keeping it secret. About You. I felt like the air had been sucked from the room. Every childhood memory with Claire, every late-night planning session for this wedding, every smile, suddenly they felt counterfeit. What are you not telling me? I demanded. Emily looked down. There's more. But I didn't want to say it unless I was sure. Before I could press her, the door rattled. Someone was trying to get in. Emily's face drained of color. She mouthed one word, hide. I ducked. Behind a stack of champagne crates, my dress catching on the corner. The door opened, and I heard Claire's voice, steady, controlled. Emily, she said, we need to talk. Alone. Her tone wasn't angry. It was worse, calm, like she'd already decided what to do with us. From my hiding spot, I could see only a sliver of the room through the gap between the crates. Claire stood in the doorway, blocking the light from the hallway, her silhouette sharp against the glow. Emily didn't move, didn't even breathe. You've been avoiding me, Claire said, her voice even. That's not smart. Emily's hands curled into fists at her sides. I had to tell her. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. My pulse thundered in my ears. I leaned forward just enough to see Claire step inside, closing the door behind her. She's better off not knowing. Claire continued. It's not what you think. Emily laughed under her breath, a brittle, dangerous sound. It's exactly what I think. You left with him. You think she won't figure it out? Careful, Claire warned, her tone low. You don't understand the whole picture. Something about the way she said that sent a cold shiver through me. She wasn't denying it. She wasn't even trying to make excuses. She was talking like this was planned. I shifted slightly, and the rustle of my dress betrayed me. Both of them turned. Claire's eyes locked onto mine. So you were listening, she said. I stepped out from behind the crates, my throat dry. Where is he? Claire's expression softened in a way that felt entirely wrong. You need to trust me. I trusted you my whole life, I said, my voice shaking. And you got into a car with my fiancé on my wedding day. Tell me where he is. Her jaw tightened. He's safe. For now. Emily stepped forward. Safe from what? Claire glanced at her. Then back at me. From people you don't want to be involved with. From debts. From threats you don't even know exist. The room seemed to tilt. Debts? I repeated. Claire nodded once, slowly. You think you know him, but you don't. He's been lying to you for months. And if he had shown up at that altar today, you'd be in danger too. Emily shook her head. You're twisting it. I'm protecting her, Claire shot back. Even if she hates me for it. I took a step toward her. If you're telling the truth, then take me to him. Now. Her eyes flickered with something, hesitation. Maybe guilt. I can't. Not yet. It's not safe. Not safe for him or for me? I asked. Before she could answer, a loud bang echoed from the hallway. All three of us froze. Claire's head snapped toward the door, her voice sharp and urgent now. They've found us. Emily's hand grabbed mine, her grip iron tight. Run, she whispered, and without another word, we were moving out the back door of the storage room, into the maze of service corridors, with my wedding dress dragging like an anchor behind me. You ran blind at first, ricocheting off white walls and metal carts, my veil snagging on a door handle like a ghost that didn't want to let me go. The service corridor smelled like bleach and lemon rind, a too clean place for the mess my life had become. Emily was a step ahead, pulling, while Claire stayed behind me, one palm on the small of my back, steering me through turns I didn't know existed. They? I hissed, breathless. Who are they? Claire didn't answer until we burst into the hotel kitchen. Steam fogged the air, knives gleamed, and a sous chef swore as we cut between ladles and plated scallops. Claire leaned toward my ear. They work for Garrick Vale. He financed him. Him, I repeated, like a child sounding out a new word. My fiancé finally had a proper name in my head again, and saying it felt like stepping onto thin ice. Ethan. A line cook glanced up. Claire's finger pressed to her lips. We slipped through the pantry, past bags of flour stacked like sandbags against a flood. I caught sight of myself in the stainless steel of a refrigerator door, flushed, wild-eyed, impossible to reconcile with the bride on the invitation. Garrick Vale is a donor, I whispered. He sits on hospital boards. He gives scholarships. He launders his mercy, Claire said. And he collects what people owe. Ethan borrowed to keep that app of his alive. He signed personal guarantees. When the launch failed, Garrick sent a reminder. We reached the loading dock. Daylight flared across concrete. Emily peeked around the edge of the roll-up door, then jerked back. 2 men by the dumpsters. Suits. No ties. Earpieces. How do they know we're here? I asked. Claire's jaw worked. Because I dragged Ethan out before he could walk you to the altar. Because I told them I'd convince him to fix it. She looked at me like she needed me to survive the sentence. Because I thought I could buy you time. My chest burned. You told them? You're working with them? I told them I'd get him to sign the house over, she said, fast. Low. I was bluffing, trying to stall. I never intended to let them touch the house. The house? Our mothers? My voice cracked. You would even say those words? Emily tugged us backward into shadow as the dock door rattled. One of the men stepped partway inside, eyes scanning, hand resting near his jacket like he was comforting a pet. The second man checked his phone. I heard a chirp that made the hair on my arms rise. It was a familiar sound, a tiny trill like a bird behind glass. Emily's old message tone, the man said. She's turned her phone off. His voice carried the clipped patience of someone who'd practiced threats in mirrors. We searched the service level, then the garden. Claire's fingers tightened on my arm. We crouched behind a pallet of bottled water, 3 women in a bridal gown's shadow. I could feel their footsteps in the wood when they moved on. Claire exhaled. Change of route. Up, not out. She led us to a maintenance stairwell and jerked the door open. We climbed in silence, the slap of my heels and the drum of my heart echoing in the concrete throat. On the second landing, I whispered, Emily. Why would his phone sound like yours? My tone's common, she said too quickly. Please, keep moving. We reached the 4th floor, a level of meeting rooms and quiet carpets, and slipped into a dim ballroom set for a conference. Rows of chairs faced a screen. A small podium light glowed like an ember. It felt obscene to corral my panic between neutral-toned walls designed for networking. Claire crossed to the AV table and yanked up the drape. A small duffel bag waited beneath, black and neatly zipped. She glanced at me, then unzipped it halfway, revealing cash, 2 burner phones, and an envelope with my name on it in Ethan's fast, slanted handwriting I couldn't swallow. Claire offered the envelope. My name looked wrong on that paper, as if someone had borrowed it. Inside was a Polaroid, Ethan in the suit he should have married me in, eyes shadowed, a bruise darkening his cheekbone. On the margin he had written, I'm sorry. Don't meet me alone. He'd signed it like a confession. Where is he? I asked, my voice sandpaper. Claire tapped one of the burners. There's a message. It came in 15 minutes ago. She powered it on, speaker tinny. In the cavernous room. Ethan's voice filled the air, a sound that lived in my bones. He sounded older. If she got you this, listen. Vale's people are outside. They want collateral. They want the house. Don't give them anything. They'll take and take. Meet me at the pier after sunset, where we first, the audio crackled. Not safe to say. Claire knows the spot. I looked at her sharply. She nodded once. The place from our childhood summers, where Claire dared me to jump from the lowest plank and I never quite landed right. The word safety had always been relative with her. We can't wait until sunset, Emily said. They'll lock down the exits. They probably already flagged your car, Claire. They're tracking my phone, not my keys, Claire said, and then her eyes snapped to me. Your bouquet. It's not with you. I blinked at her. No, they could have slipped a tag into the ribbon while everyone hugged you. She scanned the room. We ditch every device, everything with a battery, and we move now. I slid off my engagement ring. For a moment, absurdly, I couldn't find a pocket to put my grief in. I set it gently on the AV cart beside a spare HDMI cable, a tiny planet in a cold orbit. It cut through a warren of smaller rooms until we reached a glass door that opened onto a terrace. The ocean glittered just beyond the hedges, the wind lifting the bitter taste of salt to my tongue. Down in the garden, I could see guests milling as if nothing had happened, like the world had negotiated some secret truce I wasn't invited to. It kept low behind the planters. Emily's phone buzzed. Impossible, we'd just killed all the devices. But the sound came from the duffel. One of the burners lit up, a single word flashing across the screen. Run. I snatched it up. Another message arrived. Doc. Now Ethan? I whispered into the empty air, as if he could leak through a speaker. A crash sounded behind us, doors thrown wide. The two men stepped onto the terrace, flanking us with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. The taller one addressed me by name. Bride, he said pleasantly. You almost made it. His gaze slid to Claire. Time to stop pretending you're not on our side. Claire moved faster than I'd ever seen, grabbing the burner and hurling it into the ornamental fountain. Water splashed. The short man reached for me. Emily intercepted him with the heel of her hand, surprising us both, and he stumbled into a chair. The taller man drew a breath, lips thinning. Enough. Then a new voice rose from below, carried on the wind and a cheap PA speaker, tinny and undeniable. It was Ethan, live, echoing from somewhere on the property. If you want me, he said, take your eyes off her and look at the water. We all turned as one toward the sea. Out past the breakers, a small motorboat idled, its hull glinting like a blade. On the bow stood Ethan, bruised, unshaven, and holding up something that glittered even from here. The key to a safe deposit box, maybe. Or proof. Or a promise, the taller man swore, raising his radio. Claire's hand found mine. Emily's fingers tightened around my wrist. Choose, Ethan's voice boomed. Come to me now, or watch what I throw overboard. For a moment, everything froze, the men on the terrace, the wind off the ocean, even my own breath. Ethan stood steady on the bow of that small boat, one hand gripping the rail, the other holding something so bright it caught the sun like a flare. My wedding dress clung damp to my legs from the fountain's spray, and I couldn't tell if the pounding in my ears was the ocean or my own blood. What is that? I asked Claire. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the distance. It's leverage. Whatever he's holding, Vale wants it back more than he wants him alive. The taller man was already barking orders into his radio. The shorter one took a step toward me again, this time slower, deliberate. You want to live, you'll tell him to hand it over, he said. Ethan's voice carried over the water, amplified by the cheap PA system. It's the ledger, he called out. Every transaction, every bribe, every name. You touch her, it goes into the sea. Claire's head snapped toward me. If that's true, we have one shot at ending this. Emily stepped between me and the shorter man, her chin high. You'll have to go through me first. The taller man sneered. Fine. He reached inside his jacket. Claire moved then, faster than I'd ever seen, shoving Emily aside and yanking me toward the terrace steps that led down to the garden. We ran, my heels slipping on the stone, the roar of the guests growing louder as we emerged into the open. People stared, some gasped, but no one moved to help. The men followed, their pace measured. They didn't have to rush, they thought they had us cornered. At the bottom of the steps, Claire stopped short. "We need to split," she said. "I'll draw them. You get to the dock." "No," I said, gripping her arm. "We're not splitting. Not again." Her eyes softened for the first time that day. "If you don't, we all get caught." "And Ethan," she stopped herself, shaking her head. "Just go." Emily grabbed my hand. "We can make it if we cut through the hedge maze." We darted into the green corridors, the walls of manicured leaves closing around us. My dress snagged on branches, my breath tearing in my chest. Every turn felt the same, and I couldn't tell if the footsteps behind us were getting closer or if my panic was just amplifying them. We burst out of the maze onto a gravel path that led straight to the dock. The motorboat was closer now, idling just beyond the reach of the waves. Ethan cupped his hands around his mouth. "Jump." I froze. Between us and the water, the taller man stood waiting, his suit immaculate despite the chase. "You're not going anywhere," he said. Emily didn't hesitate, she grabbed a handful of gravel and hurled it at his face. He flinched, just enough for me to slip past. My shoes skidded on the weathered planks of the dock as I ran. Behind me, I heard a scuffle. "Emily!" shouting, the man cursing, but I didn't dare look back. At the end of the dock, I stopped. The boat bobbed just out of reach. Ethan extended his hand. "Come on," he shouted. I took a step, then another, until I could almost touch him. That's when I heard the gunshot. The sound cracked the air. Wide open. My body froze on instinct. I turned. Emily was on the ground, clutching her side, her white dress streaked with red. Claire was there too, on her knees, pressing her hands to the wound, screaming for help. The taller man was gone. "Go!" Claire yelled, her voice raw. "Now!" Ethan's hand was still outstretched, but his eyes were locked on the shore, on the chaos unraveling there. "If you stay, they'll take you," he shouted. Another gunshot rang out, closer this time. Splinters burst from the dock beside my foot. My mind split in two, one half reaching for Ethan, the other rooted to the side of my sister and best friend. The boat drifted, the current pulling it farther away. I took a step toward the edge, my throat burning with unshed words, and then I had to decide: jump into the unknown with a man who'd lied to me, or run back toward the people who'd betrayed and protected me in equal measure. The wind howled in my ears, carrying Ethan's voice and Claire's at once, both calling my name. That's when I moved, but I'm not going to tell you which way I ran. You'll have to decide if you think I chose love, loyalty, or survival. What would you have done?